Good evening. Welcome to Wednesday's guided meditation session at Vajrayana Institute. And I'm Wai Cheong. So as usual, we'll be doing two guided meditations together. Today, I have settled on the theme of visualization. So these are meditations that involve us visualizing, or in other words, imagining, bringing forth images, visual or otherwise, into our meditation as a part of our meditation. So the first meditation will be along the line of calm abiding meditation. The aim of such meditation, of course, is to help us calm the various agitation and disturbances of our own body and mind. And as we release those physical and mental reactivities, we'll find that our body and our mind will be able to abide here and now in our meditation on whoever it is we are meditating. And we want that abiding to be a very pleasant one, a pleasant, almost blissful if possible, and definitely a very peaceful experience. Yeah. So one way we can make use of visualization to help body and mind to settle into meditation and to go deeper into the meditation is in this form of this particular visualization. We visualize in the space in front of us. There is a source of light. So we're going to make use of the visual image of light. And light has very positive association for most of us. A lot of our life happen in daylight, in the light. Yeah. So it has a very positive connotation, so to speak. So you can imagine, I always think of the source of light as it's like the sun, not the actual sun, but like the sun in the sky. And because it can invoke a lot of pleasant memories, pleasant feelings, especially now spring is coming to Sydney and being out in the sun. At least even for a short period of time, the feeling of the light and the warmth touching the body is something very pleasant, And that's the kind of association we want to invoke in this meditation. Other people may think of that source of light as the Buddha. After all, this is in a Buddhist context. They might want to visualize one of those images. Like for example, the statues behind me, the Buddha statues behind me. So that could be another way. I usually keep it simple. Think of it as a ball, radiant ball of light up in the space in front of me. And I imagine the light shine down and fall on me. And the light, of course, carry all those positive associations, the positive energies, so to speak. And I'm going to just imagine as they fall and touches my body, Actually, not only does it shine on my body, illuminate my body, it actually somehow flow inside, get absorbed into my body, into the cells, and not only on the surface or the front, but actually penetrate deep in all the way to the back. So much so that the body is open and receptive to receive the light and receive all the positive feelings, the positive memories, whatever it is, we come to associate with this image and allow it to invoke those positive experiences. And in so doing, help us to dispel, almost like dispel the darkness of all the various disturbances, the unpleasant feeling, the discomfort in the body, the agitation in the mind. We imagine all of that is dispelled by being in the light, by being open and receiving the light. And I'm going to guide you to imagine, even though the light falls on my entire body simultaneously, but here I'm going to invite my attention to just slowly go through the body and at each part of the body to appreciate the touch of the light on that part of the body, and to imagine letting in the brightness, the radiance, and all its positive associations into my own body, and allow that to work its magic and see whether that can help me and my body and mind to settle and to go deeper into meditation. Right, so that will be the first one. So let's settle our body in a suitable meditation posture. And I ring this bell to signal the start of the meditation. So adjust the body, find a suitable posture, sitting on a chair, sitting on the floor, lying down on a firm surface on your back. Whichever posture we have adopted, we try to make sure that the back or the spine is comfortable, that we are not tensing up the back muscles unnecessarily, not trying to straighten the back in some unnatural way. So just allow the back, the spine, to assume its most natural position, upright if you are sitting, straight if you are lying down. Take care to rest our hands and arms on some support, some physical support, so that we do not need to tense up the muscles of our shoulders or arms to hold them up. Even though we are doing a visualization meditation, please feel free to either close your eyes completely if you find that easier, or leave your eyes open or half opened, whichever works best for you. First, let's see if we can help the body to settle into this posture. Let us check in and notice the sensations coming through at the points of contact between our body and our seat, our body and the ground. See if we can notice the sensations of solidity, of firmness and stability beneath us. And see if these qualities coming through are able to support the body, to keep the body balanced and safe. And when our body itself is convinced that this posture is supportive and that it does not need to be so tight and tense, that it can actually relax into the posture, this will trigger a natural process of unwinding, of loosening up, whereby the body can let go of some of those areas of contractions, of tightness and discomfort. And the body can begin to settle down comfortably into the posture. So let's imagine or let into our awareness a source of radiant light in the space in front of us, maybe slightly above, just like the sun in the sky shining down on us. This source of light, which we can visualize as the Buddha or whichever figures that come to mind, or just leave it simply as a radiant ball of brightness, of radiance. Choose a color if you like, otherwise just leave it as a sense of brightness, and allow the light rays to fall on our body, almost as if we can really feel that radiant brightness shining on us, touching every part of our body, and the light transmits positive experiences, feelings, associations, things that are helpful to our own body, to our own mind. And as I guide you, as to invite your own attention to sweep through the body from crown to feet, slowly, part by part. At each part of the body, see if we can appreciate imagine receiving that light, that brightness, that radiance. Imagine the light flow into our own body, touching the cells, the organs, the tissues, illuminating the spaces between them, and transmitting something really wholesome, beneficial, and healthy to our own body and mind. So let's start at the crown. Imagine light falls on the crown of the head, something bright, radiant. Give it other textures or experience if you like. You might want to imagine a sense of warmth if that is appropriate. And as the light falls on the crown, we are aware of sensations here, and we imagine the cells in this part of the body receive the light, draw the light within them, filling themselves up with that brightness, radiance, and whatever positive connotations that come along with it. And not to limit the light to the surface, imagine that light energy penetrate through the skull into the brain, touching all the neurons, filling them up with light, with brightness, with radiance. So feel free to move at your own pace, and also there's no need to do exactly as I said. Just adapt the instructions in a way that suits you. Next, imagine the light falls on our face, illuminating our face. And in that light, we become aware of sensations at the face. Maybe we notice certain parts of the face are feeling quite tight and tense. We have unconsciously contract certain muscles of the face. And now as we receive that brightness, that light, that illumination, now is a good time to see if we can release those tensions. Welcome in alongside the light, the brightness, a feeling of softness, of ease and comfort into our own face. Allow the light to penetrate, not just the face, but deeper into the head, almost as if it will fill up our entire head, a head with the light, the brightness and radiance, along with any positive feelings that might be invoked. Coming back to the light, to the visualization, and moving further down, imagine the light falls on the throat, touching our neck, flowing into this part of the body with all those positive energies. And then imagine the light continue downwards into the shoulder, touching the shoulders, illuminating the shoulders, the fronts of the shoulders, the top, penetrate all the way to the back, the shoulder muscles at the back. Imagine the light flow into this part of the body, working its magic, helping the body in its own time to release anything unhelpful, unnecessary, and allow our body to be open and receptive in receiving the light and all its positive associations. So as we visualize all the cells in the neck and the shoulders are filled with that brightness and radiance, we shift our attention from the shoulders down both arms at the same time. And also imagine light falling on both arms, shining on them. Imagine the light, the brightness and energies flow into both arms, touching skin, muscles, flowing all the way to the bones, to the joints. Down the arms, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, and as well as the hands. The light touches the hands, the fingers, flowing into every cell in this part of the body, filling up all the cells with the light and brightness and radiance. In the light, sometimes images appear, memories from the past, if appropriate, if they bring forth feelings of joy, of relaxation, of happy times, of a sense of ease and comfort. Why not welcome them into the meditation? Make them a part of our meditation and allow them to dissolve into our own body. Let the light fall on our chest. Invite our attention to come back here. Not to worry if our attention tends to wander off, which is a very normal thing for it to do. We simply, again and again, patiently invite it back. Notice sensations at the chest. Imagine the light falling on the chest, illuminating it, bringing that radiance and brightness into the chest cavity, touching the various organs, filling them up, penetrate all the way to the back. Let the light continue to shine at the abdomen. Imagine it shining, flowing, penetrating, so that it touch not only the skin, the muscles, the various vital organs here at the abdomen, but it managed to flow all the way to the back, touching the back muscles, the lower back, bringing with it positive changes, uplifting feelings, pleasant feelings. We have so many happy memories in the light, under the sun, moments of joy, of ease and relaxation, wonderful experiences in the light. Some of those feelings, some of those memories may be activated during the meditation. If they come forth, why not invite them in, make them a part of our meditation, imagine them dissolving into the body and mind, and symbolically imagine activating those same feelings right here, right now in our meditation. We let the light shine on the pelvis. Imagine the same energy of brightness and radiance flow into the pelvic region, saturating, touching the various powerful muscles here, along with other organs. And from the pelvis, imagine the light flow, touching both legs at the same time. Light penetrate into the hips, touching the upper legs, the knees, shining on the lower legs, the ankles, all the way to the feet. Imagine the light not staying only at the surface, but really flow all the way in, past the muscles, right into the bones. Almost as if every cell in the body is illuminated by that light, is filled with that brightness and radiance and goodness. And that our entire body, from crown all the way to the feet, is transformed into a body of light. Rest our body in the posture. Allow the body to continue to unwind, to release, to settle down more and more comfortably into the posture. Rest our mind with the body, with the visualization. Visualizing, imagining a body that is completely filled with light, transformed by the light, and yet still receiving, open to receive more of that light, shining upon it, flowing into it, almost as if we take care to make sure every cell is filled with light, and every space between the cells is also illuminated by the light. Resting the body in the posture, inviting attention to come back again and again to the body, to the visualization, to the body of light that is still receiving more of that brightness, radiance, and light. See if we can, alongside that, highlight anything positive that come forth. Positive feelings, feelings of relaxation, of ease. Make those pleasant sensations also a part of the practice, part of the meditation. Allow the mind to enjoy the visualization of light, as well as any pleasant sensations that arise. However faint or fleeting they may be, make those pleasant sensations and feelings also become a part of our meditation. Coming back to here and now, resting our attention with this body of light, one that is completely transformed by our visualization and imagination. Allow our attention to dwell with the feelings of a body completely filled with brightness, radiance, and light. And at this point of the meditation, if you like, you can explore a little bit what might be the significance of this visualization of a body of light. What might it represent for you or stand in for you? A state of wholeness, a state of complete health, free from illness or sickness, a state of healing that represents release from pain and suffering, a state of purity maybe, whereby we are able to cleanse ourselves of anything impure or polluting. So regardless of what, spend a few moments, reflect a little bit, see if you can find out for yourself what might be the deeper significant meaning represented by this body of light for yourself, or what you might wish it to be for yourself. Okay, so there is a simple visualization of body of light, and depending on how we relate to the visualization, sometimes the use of visualization imagination can be very powerful, can help to invoke very different kind of feelings, bring them into our present moment experience. Second meditation, I thought we would do also a visualization. One of my favorite meditation technique called Tonglen in Tibetan. Tonglen means taking and giving meditation, where we visualize, usually synchronized with the natural breath. With the in-breath, we imagine taking in or letting in something negative, representing the negative aspect of life, pain, suffering, difficulties, challenges, that which is unwanted or unwelcome. And why do we do that? First of all, simply because we cannot go through life without encountering any difficulties or challenges, loss, or suffering. So it's important to be able to find a way to relate to these aspects of life. And usually we invoke compassion. Compassion can be towards self, towards our own suffering, our own struggle, our own unhappiness and pain. So to be able to find within our own hearts that compassionate response respond to this negative aspect of our life. So that is one aspect of it. Or it could be the suffering we see around us, in our loved ones, the difficulties, the struggle, and that is also something that is a part of our life. And see if we can welcome that into our own hearts, so that we don't have to close our own heart, in order to reject this. Instead, we can invite in bit by bit, at a level that we are comfortable with, and invoke also from within our own heart that natural compassion. Compassion is a wonderful state of heart and mind, which enable us to encounter suffering, pain, unpleasantness, and yet at the same time be able to respond to that appropriately. And there are other ways we react to these negativities in life. Some of us may get angry. We react with a lot of anger, aversion, hatred, maybe even, or the opposite. Sometimes we withdraw. We try to protect ourselves. We try to isolate ourselves. We try to distance ourselves from such suffering by cooling ourselves up and by refusing to acknowledge such suffering. So compared to this other way of reacting, compassion is a much more healthier way to allow us to both acknowledge what is real, what is happening, and yet at the same time be able to have enough space to respond to them. So that is compassion, and we to represent that, to work with that, we imagine breathing in. Not so much we breathe in, but when we are breathing in, we're taking an in-breath, the natural in-breath. We sort of piggyback on that in-breath. Just a bit of the negativities in life. Usually I imagine them as in some kind of dark smoke, using the connotation of darkness or black darkness as a kind of association with what is, at least to me, what is unwanted or unwelcome. The association with the night, in the night and dark, and maybe I watch too many horror movies. So that kind of association, and letting it in along with the in-breath, so that it comes all the way into the heart, and just a little bit. Don't have to be a huge big mass of dark smoke, dark unhealthy exhaust smoke. Doesn't have to be a huge amount, just a tiny little bit, what we can manage. And as we breathe it in, as it allows it to touch our heart, we imagine that we are able to keep our heart open, receptive, and yet at the same time able to call forth a compassionate response. So that's with the in-breath. With the out-breath, as we breathe out, again, we piggyback on the out-breath. We imagine sending forth something the opposite, so something bright, radiant. And this is to express loving kindness. That brightness and radiance can go out to whoever it is that is in need of it, or it can sort of spiral back to embrace ourselves. So it's a loving kindness for ourselves or for others. Compassion is our sincere wish that self and others be free of suffering and causes of suffering, while loving kindness is the sincere wish for us, self and others, to find happiness and the causes of happiness. And we alternate between the two. Not every single breath. Maybe for a few breaths, we focus on the in-breath to let in the darkness, to try to work with compassion. And if we are doing that, then when we are breathing in, we focus on the visualization. When we breathe out, we just relax. Don't have to do anything. Take a break, a mini break. And then later we can switch over, focusing primarily on the out breaths. So in that case, as we breathe out, we imagine sending forth light. And when we breathe in, we have a break. We don't have to do anything. All right, so we alternate between these two major movements. And in so doing, try to invoke, nurture our natural loving kindness and compassion. Okay, so let's do a practice of Tonglen. So we settle our body in a suitable meditation posture. Take care that the posture is one that is supportive for the body and not one that introduces additional pain or unnecessary discomfort to the body. Check in on the body, make sure that the back of the body is upright if we are sitting straight, if we are lying down, and that we are not deliberately tensing up the back muscles to somehow straighten the back. That is not necessary. And also this kind of tension, we cannot sustain it, and it's also not what is needed. Instead, just try to allow your upper body to move around a bit, allow the body to find the most comfortable, suitable position for itself. Rest hands and arms on some physical supports. And just as before, feel free to either close the eyes or leave them open. And we take a few moments at the beginning, allow the body to adjust, to find its way back to the meditation posture. Emphasizing to our own body that it is resting on a solid, firm, and stable surface or support, which will keep the body balanced and safe throughout the meditation. And when the body is reassured in this way, the body recognizes that there is nothing dangerous or stressful here at this moment, they can begin that process of slowing down, unwinding, loosening up, and release unnecessary tensions and tightness. So we start by giving attention to the sensations of our natural breath. See if you can become aware, notice the breath sensations at the different parts of the body. See if you can experience the in-breath and the out-breath. As we tune into the breath sensations in our body and become aware of the in-breath and the out-breath, see if we can give special attention to the out-breath. As we breathe out, notice that subtle sense of release. The release due to the relaxation of the muscles of our diaphragm and the chest, so the air can flow out. Coming back to the breath sensations, we invite our attention to come back to the breath. And there's no need for us to somehow try to hold on to the breath with our attention, with our mind. That only introduce unnecessary tension and tightness into the meditation. Instead, we can just reassure ourselves that the breath will always be here. As and when we notice that we are distracted, that attention is preoccupied with something else, we can always remind and invite our attention to come back to the breath. For the first few minutes, as we allow our attention to abide with the breath sensations, see if we can make use of the out-breath as an opportunity to facilitate a deeper sense of release. breathing out. We can even say the word release in our own mind, almost as if we are reminding our body that it can further release any of those uncomfortable, unnecessary tensions and tightness. We can remind our mind that it does not have to follow every thought that pop into the mind, doesn't have to get lost in all those thinking, remembering, imagining. Coming back to the breath, breathing out, deepening the sense of release, almost as if we are slowly, gradually, at their own pace, releasing the body and mind so that they can settle deeper and deeper into the meditation. And when we feel ready, still attending to the breath, we start by focusing just on the natural in-breath. There's no need to deliberately deepen the breath or prolong the breath. Whatever rhythm our breath is flowing, that is good enough. If it's just a short breath, we simply have a very short visualization. There's no need to keep taking deep, long breaths. And as we become aware of the in-breath, we imagine breathing in not just oxygen, but also letting into our own system some image, such as the image of dark smoke that represents all that is unwanted, unwelcome. And we can start with ourselves. So the dark smoke represents our own share of challenges, of suffering, of pain and unhappiness. And we work with the image first, not be too concerned what it represents or what it points to. Just imagine breathing in a small share, a small amount of that dark smoke, allow it to flow into our system, into our heart, in order to invoke a compassionate response. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And then, still working with the images, not so much with their meanings, we switch over to focus on the out breath. Breathing out, we naturally imagine something bright and radiant flow out with the out breath. That light, that brightness spiral back to embrace us, to flow back into ourselves, conveying our loving kindness towards ourselves, wishing, may I find happiness and the causes of happiness. And feel free to alternate between the two movements at your own pace, not necessarily within a single breath. Take a few breaths, focus on the in-breath, and practice invoking compassion, switching over to the out-breath, and practice expressing loving kindness. And when we get used to slightly to the use of the different images, alternating between the two, then and only then we might want to consider, as we breathe in more of that dark smoke, what might be represented by this image of dark smoke. What aspects of our life, of our experiences, which aspects of the suffering or unhappiness or what is unwanted might be represented by this dark smoke. That we breathe in, we receive it in our own hearts in order to respond with compassion for ourselves. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And likewise, breathing out, sending forth the light, the brightness, the radiance, and then seeing it flow back into our own body, embracing us, seeing that light as an expression of our loving kindness. We might want to reflect a little bit what is represented by that light. What sort of attitude we like to convey to ourselves, what sort of concerns or feelings might be represented by that brightness and radiance that we are offering back to ourselves, our loving kindness. May I find happiness and the causes of happiness. Coming back to the breath, continue tongue practice in relation to oneself. It is also perfectly fine to just stick to the images, the visualizations, and just allow them to convey whatever it is they may represent. You don't really need to know, to uncover, but instead just work with the images as they are and cultivate compassion and loving kindness towards oneself. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering, and may I find happiness and the causes of happiness. And feel free to continue radiating, practicing toning for oneself if you like, for the rest of the meditation. Otherwise, we may want to consider switching over and practice toning for the other people in our life. To do so, we can think of one particular person, bring that person to mind, and repeat the whole process. Breathing in, imagine taking in a measure of this person's share of suffering and unhappiness or challenges in the form of dark smoke, and breathe it into our own hearts to invoke compassion, and breathe out light, brightness, and radiance that somehow flow into this person's body and mind, illuminating them, conveying our loving kindness. As we return our attention to the breath, feel free to do so as many times as needed. We can stay with that one person and continue with that, or switch from one person to another and practice toning for the many people in our life. Coming back to the breath as we continue taking and giving, breathing in, letting in that darkness, the dark smoke that represents suffering. Not to think that by letting it into our awareness, into our own hearts, we might be polluting ourselves or increasing our own suffering. Instead, think of that darkness or dark smoke being transformed into the fuel for our compassion allowing compassion to grow, to express itself in our mind, our heart, and also in our action. Likewise, not to think that as we breathe out and share that light, that brightness, that we are depleting ourselves of positive things, of our own happiness or merit. Instead, think of it as an expression of loving kindness. That the more we express our loving kindness, the stronger it will grow to become a source of happiness for ourselves. And then finally, we gather up all the positive things that we have created through the meditations, the positive momentum that we have generated this evening. Let's give it a certain direction. We dedicate it towards the fulfillment of our wishes and aspirations for ourselves and others. We can think to ourselves that may anything good and positive or helpful to come forth in the practice, may they somehow stay with us, not be lost, but instead linger in body, mind, and heart, so that they can continue to benefit us long after the meditation is over. Okay, so that is visualization. We imagine ourselves into meditation and fully go even deeper into our meditation. So thank you for your attention. I wish you have a good week ahead and hope to see you back here next week. So good night.